Good morning, day 164, cooking down the freezer, refrigerator, and working pantry. Well, last night we had a very nice refreshing rain. I got a little done in my garage yesterday because it was sprinkling off and on, so that makes my flowers and plants very happy. So today, I'm not sure, everything is really wet in the garden. So I think it would be perfect for planting some seeds. Yesterday I also just threw in a lot of old flower seeds into pots because they weren't doing me any good just storing them in a plastic bin. So I had some impatiens that I had, and rather than buying new impatiens because of the ones that died, I figured I would just sprinkle some seeds in there and see what happens. So I'm going to call that good enough. I still have some begonias I need to plant, but it's a little too wet for that, so I think I'll wait another day. But it's a perfect day for sowing some seeds because now all the little garden pots are wet, and I think they'd have a better chance to germinate. And in a few days it's going to get up in the upper 80s, so it's going to start to get a little hot. So we'll see. The weather's been up and down all over the place, but you guys already know that. And sometimes it makes it a little difficult to garden. And some years, no matter how hard you try, your garden doesn't do as well as other years. So anyway, I still have some sauerkraut that I want to eat up that I took out the other day for dinner. And this morning I'm going to make some mashed potatoes because I know that once evening comes around I won't want to do it. And that was the case yesterday. So I'm just going to enjoy my coffee here, grab a cup of coffee and have a coffee with me, and I'll be back in a little while and we'll see what's for breakfast. Breakfast, day 164. Let's see what we have that we need to use up. Well, I have this yogurt, hot dog buns, not going to have those. I have still bread. I have still lots of cheese, eggs, sauerkraut that I thawed from the freezer, grapes, and I did buy lettuce and carrots, and I still have the rutabaga down there. But I think this morning I want to use up most of this yogurt before it goes bad. So I'm going to get that. And I like finding bins that fit in my refrigerator. Back there I have a couple. Back there I store things that I don't use too often. But then in the front I like to have storage bins as well. And I like to find them so that they fit across, because if I want to get to those bins back there, all I have to do is take out 2 bins, or 3 rather than moving all the stuff. So if you have a deep refrigerator, these bins come in really handy, because I have seldom used things back there too, and these just slide right out. So I can get to things back there. It keeps my refrigerator very organized, and I know exactly what's where and what I have. So it works out great for me. I have the same down here. Condiments back here. So, okay, let's see what else we have. I think I'm going to go for a smoothie this morning because I have frozen fruit that I'd like to use up. And I have all my fruit in one drawer. Again, I had to organize this freezer because it was just food everywhere. It didn't make any sense. So I have a lot of berries back there that I had gotten at Costco a while back. So I'm going to make a berry smoothie. I want to use these things up and then stock up on fresh fruit. Fresh frozen fruit, that is. Okay, all right, let's see, that's it for the freezer. But I also, here in the refrigerator, I have this soy milk that needs to be used up. So I do want a little bit, but I have more in my stash downstairs because I want to make some mashed potatoes too. All right, I'll meet you at the stove. This is about, it's about this much yogurt left in it. And I think I want to save a little bit, maybe make some more oat yogurt, but I want to use some of it up. So that should be enough to make a batch of oat yogurt. And then I'm going to put some of these berries in here, and I'm sure you all know how to make a smoothie, but you can put almost anything in a smoothie and it'll be good. So, maybe a third of a bag, and I'll make something else out of the rest of it. And then I'm going to put maybe half of this soy milk in here, because this needs to be used up. And that should be enough for my mashed potatoes later. And I'm going to put a little bit of water in here too. Okay, in my refrigerator I also have some strawberry syrup that I want to use up. So this was unsweetened yogurt, so I'm going to put some of this strawberry syrup in here to sweeten it up. All right. I'm going to blend this up and see if it needs anything else. So I'll be back because this thing is really loud. Okay, it certainly is pretty. So let's see, I don't know if this is going to be sweet enough, but I'll give it a taste and we'll see. Now you could also add chocolate syrup to this, whatever you like. So, cheers. Let's give it a taste. That's good. And you can make this as sweet or as tart as you want because of the berries, but this is good. All right, so I'm going to drink this and see, maybe I'll have a piece of toast with a piece of cheese. I'm not sure yet. So I'll be back in a little bit and we'll do something else. I cooked some of my potatoes. I think I still have four or five left. But I cooked some of these in my microwave steamer, and I've never done them this way before. You know, you put water here and then you steam them. And they cooked for about 9 minutes. Now, they're not huge potatoes, but I wanted to give that a try rather than boiling potatoes. So I'm just going to mash these up, and I made 4, and see if these make good mashed potatoes. I think they will, but we'll see. And it's a little bit nicer way to make potatoes instead of boiling them on the stove. But if you don't like a microwave, of course, boil them on the stove. But I wanted to try something different. Okay, the potatoes seem to have a nice texture. Now I peeled these because they're butter russets, and the skin is a little tougher on these, like any russet potato. But if you have a soft skin, like red potatoes or Yukon Gold, any of those, you could leave the skin on. Or if you don't mind the tougher skin, you could leave it on this too. So I'm just going to make a basic mashed potato. Of course, you have to have butter. So I just peeled these and cut them in cubes because they're easier to mash that way. So I'm going to add some garlic salt, and you could also steam some garlic along with these in your steamer if you wanted to. I really like potatoes, and potatoes, a 5-pound bag of potatoes will last me about 6 weeks. And I really don't eat potatoes as much as I should because I really like them. So I'm just going to mash up this potato, and then I'm going to add a little soy milk to it. And then I'll be ready for dinner because the sauerkraut is already done. And I've got a couple of meals in mind for that. I still have hot dog buns and 2 vegan hot dogs, and one of them I'll eat tonight with dinner, and the other one I'll save a little bit of the sauerkraut and have that on a hot dog with a bun. So if you think ahead and plan your meals around what you have in your fridge, it doesn't always have to be boring. I mean, you see, even with the way I cook, I don't really have too many meals that I eat consistently because I like variety. So I'm going to add a little bit of the soy milk. Add whatever milk you want, whatever butter you want. You know, just because somebody's vegetarian doesn't mean that people that, you know, eat meat or whatever can't make substitutions for whatever you like to eat. So if you're a vegetarian and you don't eat meat, consider eating some of the vegetarian meats, or make your own. You can make sausages, you can make seitan, you can make a lot of food. Or, you know, if you are a vegetarian, or if you're not a vegetarian, then you know, substitute it for whatever meat you like. The basics are there, and the flavorings are there. It's just a matter of mixing and matching ingredients. So this needs more milk, and you can put as much milk on here as you want, whether you like them soft or a little bit more substantial. It's totally up to you. But learning to cook this way can really make a difference on the wallet. And in this day and age, the way things are, we all need to cook a little smarter. Most of us can't afford to eat steak every day, or even expensive vegan meats. You know, I mean, they can be pretty expensive pound per pound because they're newer, and a lot of people, you know, they're like considered a specialty item. And those are always more expensive, like the gluten-free, that's always more expensive. So learning to cook from scratch and taking the same ingredients that are in the prepared foods, you can save a lot of money. So I know this is going to be more than I would eat in one single meal, but that's okay because then I'll have mashed potatoes to eat with something else. If I want to make a meatloaf or some more Beyond Chicken or anything like that. You know, mashed potatoes go with a lot of things, or you can make a potato fritter out of it, all kinds of things. So these are starting to look good, and I like the steaming the whole potatoes in the microwave. I think worked real well, so I will do that again. But you know, if you don't want to dirty a pot or all that, give it a try. I think it turned out well. So I think that's looking pretty good. Plus that, I'm using the bottom of the steamer to make the mashed potatoes. So I'm saving on dishes too, which saves on water, which saves on soap, right? So I'm going to give these a little taste. Let's see if I need any more seasoning. It's good. Could use some pepper. And I know this seems like a lot of pepper, but there's not a lot coming out. I'm going to put a little more of this complete seasoning on. And just a little bit more garlic salt. All right. So I'm always trying to think of easier way to fix meals and not have so many pots and pans to wash, because doing dishes is not my favorite thing in the world. I don't mind it, but if I can save on pots and pans, that's what I'll do. Now you can put sour cream in these, you can put cream cheese in here, you can put yogurt in here, whatever you like. So let me give them another taste. And there you go. Mashed potatoes steamed in the microwave. All right, I'll be back later and we'll see what other fun projects. Dinner time, day 164. I already know what I'm having, and I think you do too. I prepared it this morning. So this is the sauerkraut, and this morning I made the mashed potatoes, so I've got that ready to go, because this time of the day I just don't feel like cooking. So I'm having that, and from the freezer I'm going to have one of these vegan hot dogs. I'm going to cook them both, and the other one will be for another meal. So, okay, I will meet you at the stove. Okay, well, I'm going to cook my hot dogs in water in the microwave for a couple of minutes and get a good helping of mashed potatoes. And I purposefully made more than what I'm going to eat so that I could have some for another meal. I like to do that, not for like 3-4 meals, but you know, 2 meals anyway, and then I can make some other things out of it. So I like to do that, and that way I can reinvent some of my meals, and I can also save money. So I'm only going to eat some of this sauerkraut. I'm going to save a little bit for a meal tomorrow. So I'm going to save that much because it's just going on a hot dog with a bun. And then I'm going to eat the rest today. So this is plenty of food. And this sauerkraut was actually sauerkraut that I cooked for New Year's Eve and froze. And it's still perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with it. So there we go. And I'm just going to wait for my hot dogs and dinner will be ready. All right. So here is my dinner. I cooked these hot dogs for 3 minutes. And these are Light Life hot dogs. I think they're pretty good. So I still have one left. And this is my dinner. Day 146. And it took me absolutely no time to warm it up. Better than a TV dinner. Alright, I'll be back in a little bit and we'll wrap things up. Well, today was a decent day. I planted some seeds in between the raindrops. I planted some radishes and some lettuces. And now I'm trying to figure out what else I want to plant, because when you have limited space, you kind of have to pick and choose what you prefer. So, and even then, even after you're done picking and choosing, you only have so much room to plant each thing. Especially things like watermelons and squashes and pumpkins, and because they take up a lot of space. So, but I'm experimenting with sugar baby watermelon and a pumpkin that I got for free, pumpkin plant. But I still have some squash seeds that I want to plant. One of the squashes I want to plant is a butternut squash, and the seeds actually came from a friend who gave me a butternut squash from her garden. So I saved some of the seeds, and we'll see how that turns out, because she had an overabundance of butternut squash. So, but those things are a little bit harder to plant than, say, lettuces and kale and chard, and even cucumbers and tomatoes. If you have a container with some sort of a trellis, it works out just fine. So I still have more seeds that I have to plant. I got most of my starts done. And I planted flower seeds yesterday just because they've been hanging around in my stash, and I figured they're not doing anybody any good there. So I just planted some of those impatiens and things to maybe fill in from the ones that I lost. We'll see. But you got to try different things and don't be afraid. You know, if something doesn't work, well, ask yourself, is it such a big disaster, or is it a learning experience? And a lot of times it's a learning experience instead of a disaster. So we have to put things in perspective. I know that's not always easy to do, but unless you want to drive yourself crackers, that's what you need to do. So, all right, well, that's all I have for you today. We'll see what tomorrow brings. I don't think it's going to rain again tomorrow, but we really needed the rain and the seeds and the flowers. Maybe it'll help them to germinate. So, all right, I want to wish you abundant blessings. I love you guys. Be good to yourself, be good to others. God bless you, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, comment, and like. Thanks for watching.